Okay, what if I told you that you could build a $1 billion company in just a single year? I know, it sounds completely impossible, right? Well, a company called OAK Inc. has an incredibly detailed blueprint to do exactly that. They call it the Overnight Castle, and today we are going to break down exactly how they plan to pull it off. Now, that name, it's not just a cool brand. It actually comes from this legend in Japanese history where a warlord literally built a castle in a single night. See, the goal wasn't just about the building, it was a psychological weapon. It was meant to shock the competition, to demoralize them by proving that the impossible was, in fact, possible. And Oak's whole strategy is built on that same idea. It's a battle over perception, time, and most importantly, trust. So let's get real for a second. How do you hit a $1 billion revenue target in 12 months? I mean, that's a number so huge, it sounds like a joke. But for OA and Cocoa, this isn't some fantasy. It's a meticulously crafted battle plan. So let's take a look at the actual numbers. Okay, so here are the hard targets. $1 billion in revenue, $150 million in pre-tax profit. And here's the real kicker. They're planning to do all of this with a core team of just 1,000 people. This is the mountain they've decided to climb, and it makes that whole overnight castle idea feel very, very real. Now, a goal this massive, this insane, it requires a completely different rulebook. You can't just follow the standard business playbook. OK's strategy is built on 5 principles that pretty much defy all conventional wisdom. You see, they're not just trying to sell a product. They're trying to build an entirely new trust economy. And this is the absolute core of their philosophy, and it's a total paradigm shift. OK believes that what they're really selling isn't AI software at all. It's employee growth. The entire sales process is actually designed as a training ground to develop their own people. All right, let's break down these 5 rules. First up, sell growth, not a product. Like we said, sales is just a tool to train their own staff. Second, the first 1%. They're not trying to boil the ocean here. They're laser-focused on a tiny number of early adopters to create that critical social proof. Third, customers as soldiers. They're bringing back past clients, not as customers, but as comrades fighting for the same mission. Fourth, and this is clever, tax-savvy sales. They time their pitches perfectly for the end of the fiscal year, framing the AI as a smart tax-saving investment. And fifth, the absolute masterstroke, the bank-backed guarantee. The refund promise doesn't come from them. It comes from a bank. A plan this radical? Well, it needs a radical team. This isn't about hiring your typical salespeople in suits. No, Oakland is building a very specific kind of army, one forged with this unique blend of discipline and empathy. And that army has a precise number, 1,000. That's it. This is the human engine that has to be recruited, trained, and deployed to make that billion-dollar target a reality. The pressure is just immense. So how in the world do you build an elite team like that? And fast? Well, here's their secret technique. They're hiring 500 ex-military personnel to bring structure and discipline, and 500 teachers to bring empathy and human care. It's this fascinating fusion of hard and soft skills, all designed to create an incredibly stable and effective workforce from day one. Of course, the best strategy and the best people in the world are useless if you don't have an offer the customer simply cannot refuse. And that brings us to the engine that powers this entire machine, a truly, genuinely risk-free guarantee. Now, their product ecosystem is heavily, heavily focused. While they have a few different AI tools, a whopping 80% of their projected revenue comes from one single flagship suite, the LifeCare AI. And this is the product that has to carry their most powerful promise. And that promise is the final piece of this whole puzzle. It's the one element designed to make the customer's decision to buy completely, totally, and utterly risk-free. So here it is laid out simply. If a client uses their AI and doesn't hit their profit targets within 9 months, they get a 100% refund. But here's the crucial part. The refund doesn't come from Oak, it comes from a partner bank. For the customer, this changes everything. It completely removes the risk. It's no longer an expense. It becomes a guaranteed investment. And what this creates is a perfect self-reinforcing flywheel. It starts with people, the humans, building that initial trust. Then the AI delivers the results, which proves that the trust was well placed. And finally, the banks see those results and inject their capital to scale the entire system. Each part just makes the others stronger and stronger. But this This is where the plan goes from a brilliant business strategy to something truly mind-blowing. This entire billion-dollar overnight castle, it's just phase one. It's the foundation for a vision so massive, it's practically nation-building. The first step of that long-term vision isn't even about money. It's about people. The goal is to train 1 million high-quality workers in Vietnam, and they define that as anyone earning over $1,000 a month. They're literally trying to build human capital on a national scale. The second long-term goal is financial, and the scale here is just staggering. They aim to channel $450 billion of investment from Japan into Southeast Asia. At this point, we've moved way beyond corporate strategy and into the realm of geopolitical economics. And this all culminates in the final, absolutely jaw-dropping endgame. They plan to use everything they've learned to build what they call a national management algorithm, basically an AI for running a country's economy efficiently. They'll test it in small places first, then scale it up in Vietnam, with the ultimate goal of using it by 2050 to try and make Japan a tax-free nation. The entire overnight castle is just a proof of concept for reinventing an entire country. You know, it all comes back to this core philosophy. The overnight castle isn't just about speed. It's about making the preparation invisible, so the results feel like magic. It's about inspiring people. But the ultimate goal is to build a system where all that hard work, all that trust generated by individuals, can be seamlessly inherited and scaled up by massive institutions. And that brings us to the final question, the one this whole strategy really asks of us. OK Inc. has created this wild blueprint for building the impossible by basically weaponizing trust. So the question for you is this. In your work, in your life, what is the castle of trust that you need to build overnight?